No, baby, we just keep on the same thing over and over. Sick of going on this merry-go-round with you.
Good evening, and welcome to another edition of the New Black Leadership here live at Intellectual Radio, where you are fed a conversation to your brains that will nourish you and make you stronger and feel better after these conversations. Right, I am so thankful, so blessed, and privileged once again as a member of the New Black Leadership Coalition to have this golden opportunity over these precious airways to give you information, inspiration, and more that we are hoping will make a difference in your life and in the lives of your family and our community. We are very, very spiritual, grounded individuals that love the Creator, and we thank Him for all of the mentors and really our ancestors first. I mean, we are standing on the shoulders, some tall shoulders of some great, great ancestors. And we thank the contemporaries that have influenced our lives and helped us along the way. It's so many that I would be all night trying to say their names, but I know for a fact that having a conversation tonight in our first economic development roundtable discussion here without recognizing our ancestors and all of those who paved the way that we even think about economics in terms of survival, in terms of a community that should be thriving more, should be doing more to fix itself. And we're going to talk about that. I'm here right now with my guest. We are expecting one more guest. He should be here shortly, Brother Roland Davis. But let me introduce the two brothers, distinguished young men that are here today. Brothers address to impress. Brother Dwayne Hirsch, executive board member of the Small Business Advocacy Council, real estate agent, crowdfunding advocate, and former chief operating officer of Premium Energy. Glad to have you on today, brother.
Thank you for having
Dwayne.
me. We said we're following your example on the dress code.
Oh, my brother, no, this is my church clothes. Got to go to course, choir rehearsal. And then I have my brother, my friend also, Brother Andre Clark, global business consultant and financial recovery expert. What's going on, Brother Andre?
Hey, glad to be here. Glad to see you, Greg.
Yes,
Y'all
sir.
get it on.
Hey, man, it's my pleasure, my honor. And then Brother Roland, he'll be here, but he's the founder of Project 5000, Flip the Hood, and the Bop Business Center. So he'll be here soon. We want to just look. I know we're gonna hear some steps. We're gonna hear some solutions. We're gonna hear some guidance. We're gonna hear a vision. We're gonna hear a number of strategies that are probably out there, but from your perspective, from your experience, man, in this whole global piece, and then locally, what are we doing? You know, so what inspired, and I want to hear from both of you all, what inspired both of you? And I want to start with you, Brother Dwayne. What inspired you? And we got people Facebook Live. Look, let me just tell the people on Facebook Live, make sure you share this on Facebook. Are you all Facebook Live in this conversation right now?
No, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
Wait, I mean, you
Step up to the plate.
Step up to the game, man. Yeah, you should be Facebooking this live so your audience can see you, hear you, and know that there's much that I'm sure both of you all will share with the audience tonight. And I want to be bold with this. I want to be very bold with it. And I know, Dwayne, I've read some questions that is one that you're gonna love. But I want to first go on and hear your opening in terms of what inspired you to get involved in advocacy of the Black community as far as economics is concerned.
Well, I for several years, while I was trying to bring myself back from the recession, so to speak, I had started doing a series of networking events.
Okay.
These networking events were very popular. I was doing them every week. They were free events, and we were bringing a lot of small business owners, entrepreneurs to the table, just coming to the event. We had this unique talk show format that people seemed to really like. And one day, a professional mentor of mine asked me, "What's the exit plan? What is all of this for? What do you ultimately expect to get out of this?" And my simple answer was, I was just really looking for opportunity for myself to find a way to recover. But ultimately, I did not know that answer until the Tribune ran a story on our event. I got approached by this group called the Small Business Advocacy Council, and they talked to me about the fact that they lobbied every day, each and every day. There were about 300 members at that time, and they were lobbying for the benefit of small business owners. And we started to talk about a few issues that they had on the table at that time. And it was then that I realized that that should be my exit strategy. Nobody in our community was really talking about advocacy as a broad strategy. We were more standing behind the fence and throwing apples and eggs, but we weren't really advocating on a strategic level. And these folks were really doing that, and they were active at doing it and committing a lot of money and resources to doing it. So I joined that organization, and then eventually, wrapped up everything that I was doing in the networking space around that work with that group, and then being able to take the benefits of what they were already advocating for, and then to be able to filter those back to our community so that we can start to make sense of things that were being talked about that were beneficial to us, but we were totally unaware of in most cases.
I love it. I love it. I love it. And brother Andre, what about you? What is it that got you involved in advocacy of Black economics?
Well, I think I have a similar story as Dwayne here. At some point in your life, you just get to that point to where you no longer want to be tied to somebody else's vision, somebody else's mission in life. You want to seek out your own way. So I pretty much got frustrated with corporate America after being in management for 15, 20 years, seeing how corporate America navigates and do business. You get to the point to where you see that you're just as smart as the next guy. And I think it was an author that said, why do the white boys, why are they the only ones that get to have the fun? So,
Wow.
So it was just a mental shift for myself a few years ago that I decided that, that I could do something better. I could do something different. And the opportunity came for me to travel to the continent and, like Dwayne, to partner with people that pretty much had figured the corporate game out, and they wanted to strike out and do something for themselves as well. So I just wanted a place where I could use my own individual talent with people that was already doing it, understood the game that was being played on a high level. Because a lot of what we struggle with is not really understanding and knowing the game of business the way it's actually being played. Mm-hmm. And then I also found out that we don't play to win. We play to play, and every other ethnic group is playing to win. And it's an exact strategy that you have to have in order to be successful in business. So that's where I'm.
So when you think about this, and this is a deep question and comment. Look, who are we talking to? Because there's a segment of our community that are basically complacent, are content. They're not thinking economics to have something for their children, those coming after them. I mean, the empowerment piece, the leaving something behind. Even, I'm not going to get into people doing a will, but when you think about the mentality of our people, the damage that has been done to where, and in this economy, I mean, it's a lot of greed. You talk about taxes, Dwayne, I read something that you said that was so powerful. You said asking and waiting for others to provide what we already have available to us is a fool labor. And then you put hashtag fishing rods, not fish.
That's right. Yes, sir.
And that's powerful. But get to, are you talking to a group of our people, a certain percentage? Because the rest are consumers.
Right.
Nobody's thinking about home ownership, which
Right.
Roland gonna talk about, and you all can
Right.
talk about,
Of
because
course.
you into real estate.
Yes, sir.
And Dre, you talk about recovery. But what segment, the people out here that's viewing this as Black leadership, as those who are trying to give Black people an ingredient or a format, instructions of what do you do, the common person. We got people on public assistance. We got people who work at jobs like Dre said that they not gonna leave corporate America. They stuck. So who are we talking to, and what are we trying to get people to do and see?
Right. For my part, my main thrust in that has been about the solution that that equity crowdfunding offers us, right? So it's the thing that says that we get the opportunity to invest and do things for ourselves. I don't expect the enemy that set the trap to be the one to take me out of the trap. So the idea is that we have to build equity within our own communities and have something to own. And I'm sure Dre will tell you that anytime a bank prefers to lend you money, an investor, a hedge fund, all of these private equity groups, they prefer to invest in those that technically don't need it. You know, you can go to the bank and borrow $500,000 if you got 150,000 in the bank,
Or
but you can't. Right, but it's much more difficult to do that when you have nothing on the table. So when we start using a tool like equity crowdfunding to own businesses in our own community, it becomes easier for others, and it's a better case for us to make to others to come invest in the rest of our community to build out the job cycle and everything else. As far as who we're talking to, I want the person in corporate America to hear it. I don't need him to come out of the corporate America. I need him to stay there, get that check, and then invest it in these projects and these businesses that'll be built in his community that he can now profit from. That's what I'm looking for from the individual. But there's no solution in my mind that would create any greater benefit for us than one that allows us to do it essentially ourselves.
Right. And I would just like to piggyback in terms of, because I'm very specific in terms of what I think my purpose and my mission is. I'm not looking for anybody that's not looking for me, because everybody has a role and a mission. But my personal mission is to look for those with the light, for those that desire to be light bearers, whether it's in business or whatever avenue. Because I think if a person has the ability, and if you show forth that ability, then those that need to follow will follow. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not necessarily casting my net to the broader community. That's somebody else's role. But what I am looking for is individuals that want to get the job done, whether it's internationally, locally. And then what I do is I partner with those individuals, and those that have an ear, let them hear. Those that want to come, let them come. Because what I don't want to do, I don't want to drag nobody to their own freedom. So see, it's not up to me to do that, but it is up to me to let my personal light shine. Want to get on board, then they get on board, because like you said, the people that's down and out, they may not necessarily want to open up a business, but if I'm intelligent enough to open up a business, then through my own personal example, so to speak, then they may get inspired. But I'm not out there trying to make them become inspired, but I am trying to set forth that example.
Right. So when you think about a community that's been invaded
Right.
by folks that don't look like us.
Right.
We a community that's been invaded.
Right.
I mean, to the max. And I mean, this is across the board. A community that does not understand economics. A community that went to sleep for 8 years because we had a Black man in the Oval Office. Yet after that, was there any Black millionaires really made as a result of just having that influence? in the business sector.
Right. Well, I'm pretty sure that there were some that were made, but what I found is that those who benefit the most from government contracting and state contracting, or just say a higher level of political connectivity, don't always tell you. They don't go out and blow the trumpet and say, hey, I just got made a millionaire, because, I think that it's the people who found a way to benefit the most from the positions that were being taken by who was in office.
Right. So I'm saying, look at the job market.
Right.
Look at the unemployment rate. Look at all of these negative stats
Right.
as it relates to poor people,
Right.
as it relates to our community, right? So if you looked at a model right now, I don't really know a lot, Brother Dwayne, about crowdfunding.
Right.
So I'm being educated like many other people
Oh, yes.
are.
Right.
Mhm.
So when you think about crowdfunding,
Mhm.
what is there a layman term for that people
Yeah.
you can look at the conditions that we have in our community? What could you say to people out there that don't have a clue
Right.
and really have given up
Right.
on even, I think the majority of our people
Right.
have given up
Right.
as far as freedom, as far as owning and operating and controlling our community.
Right.
I don't see it.
Right. There's one of the simplest ways to describe that is that most of our people who've been to church will have experienced a church that has a building fund, right? And a building fund is where everybody in the church is asked to put 500, 1,000, or whatever in to build something that's a benefit to the church itself. It might be an annex or a new sanctuary. In this particular situation, in a for-profit business entity, an entire community or people within the entirety of the state or even the nation for that matter can put their money into a business in small increments, and everybody, it's not a donation, everybody can profit from it. That's why it's called equity crowdfunding. Everybody gets an opportunity to profit from it. So it can be anything from as small as a dry cleaners on the corner, a fast food restaurant, a small one, a big one, a sandwich shop, the coffee shop, the donut shop, whatever it is that you need, the neighborhood staples, the laundromat, even the liquor store for that matter. It's industry agnostic. So any of these businesses that are currently owned by other people in our community can be replaced by those that are owned by us, and all of us get to participate in putting money into that. So it's not about everybody becoming an entrepreneur, but it's about everybody supporting something that is driven by everybody in the neighborhood or in a community or in a broader regional area, putting their money into something, and thereby ensuring the patronage of those people, ensuring they're concerned about the security of the establishment, turning customer service or entitlement that I'm black, so you got to shop, turns that sense of entitlement into accountability to those who now have been invested in you.
I love it. So that's hope and belief.
Right.
Well, it's
no, I'm just saying.
Well,
no, I love it because what I'm saying about that is there's some strategy.
Yeah,
that
that's
you're
real.
telling people something they can do is not out in space.
Right, and it's happening. I want to be clear about this. This is not conceptual.
Right.
This is happening all over the country right now, and millions of dollars are being raised through it. It was always available to accredited investors and those with significant incomes and assets at their disposal, but now it's available to the layman, to the everyday person, where it had never been before. So I had to be very, very clear about that. The only people that's doing that and calling it or referring to it and accepting it as hope and belief are us. Right. Because I can show you 5 or 10 websites right now where they're bringing in millions of dollars a day, building breweries and restaurants and financing consumer packaged goods where you own a product and everybody can see the benefit. And now we put money behind you so you can get into Walgreens and CVS. That kind of thing is happening everywhere. But so I'll be very clear, take advantage, take a look at it, because it's very serious and it's happening all over the place. But I'm just trying to make sure that everyone here understands it well enough to where we can start to benefit from it right here in Chicago, where so much of that language and so much of that banter is taking place, and we've got so much enmity right now for our elected officials and expecting them to do more for us than they're even capable of doing.
And Dre, answer this, and please come back to the thing about,
yes, sir.
As you said about the building fund, because I know many of us who have gone to church, the building fund seems like it was a con.
You never saw the building.
We never saw the building. We did see the bins. So, but I understand the principles.
Yes, sir.
Right. I thought I would just throw that in there because the minute you just said building fund, people was like, "Oh no, I ain't getting involved in that because I gave to the building fund. We never saw the building, but we did see the fund. Looked like it went into the car."
Right.
But go ahead, Dre. You were going to say.
I think Dwayne hit on a key point, and one of the points that I think as a community that we have to become great at and God at is understanding the power of coming together for that common cause. And it's no different from doing business really, other than a few things in terms of doing business successfully on the continent and doing business here. The same concept has to be followed because, I'll give you an example. If you want to do business in Africa, the first thing you want to do is visit the continent. So you want to go on a visit because you have to familiarize yourself with the culture, because you're going to have to tweak your business concepts in order to win on the continent. So you got to go see the culture of the people. And even though it's the African continent, there are different nations and there's different tribes within that nation. So you got to get localized to the people. So once you do that, then you have to network with the native people, you have to network with the business people, and then you have to make your way to the government, and political leaders within that country.
Is that
right?
So compare that to the United States.
It's no different. It's no different, but we have to understand that before you even get in the game, you got to know the rules of the game. And so ever since big business, ever since big business has been going on, whether it was the Europeans, whether it was Chinese, Korean businessmen, they already knew what the game was. So right now in Africa, you have an influx of China taking what I would characterize as taking over Africa. And the only reason why they're doing it is because we refuse to go to the continent.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So it's what we would call a golden opportunity. So ever since Queen Isabella of 1492, King Leopold from Belgium, whether you're dealing with President George Bush I, when they did the African Opportunities Act in 2000, they've always had a plan to divvy up the continent. They've always had that plan, but we've never taken advantage of that opportunity because they've taught us away from Africa. You don't even hear about a person saying, "I'm going on vacation to Africa." You don't even hear that concept being preached.
How do we get this into a curriculum? Because honestly, our babies have to be inspired. To me, I'm just being realistic. To carry this plan on. I know there will be those who are watching via Facebook Live and iHeartRadio who want to call in and get your information both and say, I want to know more. I want to get involved. 708-233-8953 if you want to call in. But I'm going back to curriculum. And both of you all were in front of 8th graders, 4th graders, all the way up so that they'll know that this is how we should be thinking, and because they're being socialized to come out and do the exact same thing or nothing to get us out of this condition. So I'm saying I ain't gave up completely with those that are over 35 and 40 and older, but how do we get our young people to understand? Dre just said something that is absolutely horrible to hear, that where you going on vacation? Puerto Rico. Where you going on vacation? Jamaica. Where you going on vacation? Miami. You know, you very seldom hear somebody said, I'm going to the Ivory Coast. I'm going to, any place other than places that they are totally disconnected from.
Right. Shout out to my good friend Freddie Rock, who's actually in Ghana right now. And part of our conversations through Facebook just today has been that he's over there visiting and learning some things and connecting with people but he's sourcing. He's sourcing resources for products that he want to bring to the United States. He's sourcing some connections for a couple of other projects that he's doing for his Urban Intellectuals brand. So yeah, shout out to him for that. But to young people, the thing that I would say to them is this. Right now, you have at your disposal an unlimited tool to gain information that was never made available to anybody in my age group. Anything that we would deny in the way of information in our youth, such as the proper knowledge of our history, the proper knowledge of ourself and other things, whether it was books that were not brought to our schools or whatever, all of that information is to you available right now on your cell phone. It's available on your computer. It's available through the internet. But the focus of what you pay attention to is what's going to be the biggest thing that determines the value and quality of your life.
And that's why the knowledge that you have, the knowledge that Andre have, and my brother Roland, who just stepped in. Good to see you, brother Roland.
Likewise.
Good to see you. And I'm gonna come right to you in a minute. But with this knowledge, how do we transfer this? Because I read folks' Facebook posts. I read the information. I think personally, and Roland gonna probably put this out there himself. We talking to mentally dead people, of people that have given up, and they don't even have the idea of Bob. You know, the biz. It's like, what is that? Or Project 5. They don't get it. How do we inspire? Because the apathy politically is one thing, but this damn apathy economically, brother, is disturbing. How do we talk to the right? And Dre said, I'm talking to those. Why'd you say it?
Well, I'm just talking. I'm looking for those that's looking for me. And so what I mean by that, and to answer your question though, because I don't want to forget that point. In terms of how it's actually done. I mean, I try to look at things in a strategic standpoint and in parts. So I try to understand my part. And my part is to take what I know and give it to my daughter. That's my first part. So I develop a personal curriculum for my daughter. That's my number one priority. Now, once I inspire my daughter, then I'm passing that legacy on someone. So we always say each one teach one, right? But you have to teach yourself first before you can teach anybody. So once you grab that knowledge, once you gain that insight, then you become an attractive person. We always talk about the law of attraction. So if you listen to this brother and you listen to Roland, then you're gonna be automatically magnetized. Then you disseminate and put that information into a culture. You put that into an institution. And then that's how you have those that are out there that want to build institutions. You have those that are out there that want to sing the song to inspire people. So we have to develop our own culture. That's for us all to do. And it comes through the example. Because if we as leaders do what we're supposed to do, the people will follow. Because the masses don't do anything else but follow.
Look, I'm gonna take this call right quick, and I want to get back to that, because here we've had the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we've had the Honorable Marcus Garvey, we have our brother the Claude Anderson. It's just a bunch. I mean, the list is very long, and that's why I don't want to sound discouraged, but I want to say, how do we tap into this talent? How do we tap into? That's why the New Black Leadership Coalition is so critical, because we're not hearing this, and no one is out front trying to make this happen. But we got a call on the line. How you doing, caller? Hello?
Yes. How you doing, Greg?
I'm fine.
Dan and Taylor, Chief Executive and owner of Flatstack Transportation. I just wanted to call in and just say, I'm proud to be able to, probably on your show.
Businessman.
And I just wanted to say some good things, and I definitely appreciate what you're doing for the community. And I was blessed and humbled to be a part of the Network 12 Positive Black Males Tour last week.
I love it. But listen, you have a transportation company, and you take people on proms. You do all kind of work in the Black community or community period. As a businessman, regardless of who they are and what nationality they are, you're doing great business, brother. And I'm very, very proud of you And thank you for tuning in and doing the great work. This brother have an excellent company. And tell them a tiny bit before you leave the air about your company.
Well, it started out in 2012 out of Indianapolis. I started out as a one-man show. And anybody knows as a business person, it takes minimum 5 years before you can start reaping the benefits. But one of the things, it grew from Indianapolis to Chicago, which is I'm born and raised. And it started out dealing with the public, and then I expanded to the sports and in the entertainment industry. And but one of the things about receiving business and referrals, but also to give back. So one of the things that kind of puts Class A transportation out there, it's just a word itself, Class A, always a ride ahead. Making sure the client, every client, is taken care of, but to give back to the community, to be part of growth for the youth, the seniors. And that's something that I take pride in being a owner of Class A transportation, to be able to help with the seniors and different programs and do sponsorship for those that are in need. And so
I love it.
Anyone doing something that it's about loving and living a life that matters. And at the end of the day, what you want your legacy to be. And that's something that Class A transportation believes in and we stand for.
Give me a number before I leave you. Give me a number so you can folks can reach you.
Yes. If anyone wants to book a reservation, they can call us toll free 24/7 at 1-800-449-1601, or they can email us directly if they have any questions at classatransport@gmail, or go to our website, classatransport.com, where we always arrive ahead.
All righty.
Yes, so I'd like to say something real quick, and thank you for your call.
Thank you, brother.
Now, we
Thanks
can.
a lot, Grace. God bless you all.
All right, peace and love, Shannon.
Yes, sir.
Keep up the good work.
All right. But to use him as an example, right? Equity crowdfunding works with existing businesses even better than it does with conceptual businesses, right? So we were talking about how do we get that across? I would say we use a top-down approach. We take those that know and have them to create the example for those that don't, and let them follow those of us who do, who are actually acting on what we complain about, see, read about, and learn, come together and make it happen. So for example, if his business sounds like he's got a solid business model, if his business right now is worth $2 million, let's say, and he decides that, hey, I could use a little bit more business, what he can do is he can sell 20% of his company, equity, 20% equity in his company to the crowd, essentially. The five of us sitting here have at least, we've all got thousands of Facebook friends each, but if each one of us just got 100 people to put $1,000 into that, you can raise that money literally overnight. And now where's everybody going to go to get their prom ride? Where's everybody going to go when they need to go to the casino in Indiana? Where's everybody going to go when they need to send a ride to the airport to pick up grandma for Christmas? They're going to go to Class Act because he has opened the door and allowed us to invest in him, thereby earning our patronage that way. This is a business model that's taken root all over America. And I'm telling y'all this because it's just really became available and useful within the last year, as of May 16th on a federal level last year, in January 1st, January 17th this year on an intrastate level. So it's very new, it's very early, but if all of those of us that are at the top line in terms of our mentality and our thought process make the example, and then it filters down. And now a young person gets to walk past that store that we built next to Bop, down the street, across the street from Bop Business Center, and say, wow, they did that. And that's how my cousin got a job. That's how these 3-4 people got a job. That's what this is all about. And so when you can do it yourself and the opportunity is here and now, the fishing rod game we talked about earlier, once a person gives you the rod, you asking them for a fish after that is quite honestly disrespectful. You got to go out and give it your best shot before you come back to him and say, hey man, I just couldn't do it for myself and I need your help. But as long as you got the opportunity to do it for yourself, asking somebody else, especially somebody who designed this system to work against you, it's ridiculous.
And that's why I love what you said. Roland says black business is the answer to black unemployment. And he says, I am a social entrepreneur activist who is committed to do resurrection, redemption of Black people. What does winning look like to you in Black America, Brother Roland?
Well, I think that, first of all, I appreciate the opportunity to be on your show. You always bring it. I think that winning is, comprehensive in nature. I asked that question today on my Facebook post because what I realized is that we all have varying degrees what a win is. For some people, when you just break it up with the house Negro and the field Negro, you got two different ideas of winning. And so part of the reason why it's difficult for us to unify around a solution, because you got the house Negroes and the field Negroes mixed inside of the same space. So winning is just getting closer and deeper into the European idea of success. And then for the field Negro, that idea is totally different. And so I think that part of the reason why it's hard for us to make these distinctions, because we all lumped into one reality, and so for me, winning is nation building. I think that is winning, our ability to create. I talked about Black privilege today. We often talk about and criticize white privilege, but I don't know any one of us, if we had that privilege, would give it up so that we could be more equitable or create a level playing field. I think that we need to create a reality where we create a golden parachute for our dreams and our hopes as a people. And so winning for me is creating not a level playing field, but creating a springboard for our hopes and aspirations as a people.
Is it enough for everybody?
I believe it is.
Or is it the
Absolutely.
king of the mountain? Because in a capitalistic society that's structured like this, will we have to go to war? Or is it another kind of war that we are kind of running away from? And it's within ourselves. Roland talk about it much, but go ahead, Dre. You was going to say
I was going to say that I think sometimes we fall into the pitfalls of thinking that the only way out is that we got to go and fight against the Caucasian for what we deem as our share. And if once you start looking on a global context, and even within the United States, if 3 to 10 Arab families can control business in our community, why can't we? So it's just a matter of a mind shift. So if we want to own where we live, it's just a matter of, do we really want to do that, and being educated on what we need to do to make that happen. The same thing happens when you're trying to do business in Africa. If you understand that the motherland is the place that if Central Africa decided not to let the U.S. do business there, the United States would shut down in less than 6 months.
I love that.
That's how valid, and that's the power that we have, and that's the access that we have. So if we want true wealth,
that's right.
I mean, wealth that's going to explode us as a people, we have to make that connection. In the meantime, the things that Brother Roland is talking about is doable. It's just a matter of the people that have the resources. Do they want to allocate the mental resources to make it happen?
Dwayne talks about, really, he didn't use this word, but it's shifting.
Yeah.
Shifting. It's a new paradigm. I read Roland's posts, and after I read some of Roland's posts, I'm not lying. I read Roland's posts, and I'd be doing this in the bed. Damn. That's deep. I mean, really, because I know for a fact he got something right there. I mean, he got a lot of other stuff that he's doing, but just your Facebook post is like a revolution. And I'm wondering, what people maybe call offline and say, damn, I don't look at it like that. I never looked at it like that. Because you've taken the best of, because I see Marcus Garvey, I see the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, I see Brother Farrakhan, I see Malcolm, I see all of them. I see the sisters. I see Harriet Tubman. I hear Sojourner Truth when you put those posts. But the shifting, somebody was getting ready to say something.
Well, what I was going to say, I'm sorry, is that the difference between what Roland says is that Roland does. And that's also what is the inspiring thing, is when you see a brother doing it and ain't just saying it. I look at it like this. They say Lucifer is the light bearer. He's the bright in the morning star. So you can't even get out of the gravitational pull of somebody that's carrying a light. Even if you think Lucifer, the devil, is bad, you can't get out the gravitational pull of what Lucifer is doing.
He said, Dwayne said he about to do like this from what you just said.
Because what he's doing is he's showing. And so everybody and everything that comes into his circle is automatically attracted to that. And so when you're around Roland, you got to be attracted to that. So you got to say, let me go see what this brother is doing. Not what he's saying. Let me go see what he is doing. And then the people that's supposed to be doers will follow his example and do their thing. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? That's what a victory is.
It's like a game of spades, right? We all play spades, and the two of us as partners may not get dealt a great hand. But at the point that we realize that we don't have a great hand, our objective becomes to set the next man, not to try to beat him and get 7 when we know we only got 4. Right. But we're trying to keep him from going the whole yard on us. So we got to get enough. And hold on, and we can only do that though if we understand the game and play together.
Right.
Capitalism is a system, right? And it's built around the idea of you. It's built around the idea of you being able to take advantage of what you know. And that often works to the disadvantage of a person who doesn't know. Right. So the real idea, the paradigm shift, is that we have to pay attention to what matters and elevate our study so that when I'm talking about a law being changed, for instance, from the advocacy side, you go into that, you look at it, and you find out where the benefit is. The reason why ultimately real people with real money don't care about who wins the election, because all they're doing is maneuvering inside the knowledge that they're able to achieve about what the next person's position is going to be.
And you just said trust. You use it because that's trust.
Right.
You got to trust your partner. Now I know when I play spades, but when I play spades, when I wanted you to come in hearts, I did like this. When I wanted you to play diamonds, I touched my head. I did this. And clubs, I did like this.
You talking across the board.
You talking way across the board.
Hey, but it goes back. Go ahead, Rolly was going to say.
No, I was going to say, first of all, I appreciate that, but I think that that's a major reason why I say the things that I say. I know that, one might say that religion and, who we choose or what we choose as our God has no relationship to the economics, but I disagree. I believe that we can't, as a people, embrace an idea of external salvation, an idea that we're filthy rags in the eyesight of God, born into an original sin, and somebody else is responsible or going to pay the price for our salvation, and then we go and create. We can't create because we don't own God. We consume God. And so it has made us external, it has made us eternally, looking for external salvation. Somebody else is going to provide all the goods and services, that we need. For white folks, they can look at that image and see God within themselves and create all the goods and services that we need. And if I'm saying that I'm a filthy rag born into an original sin, then all the people that look like me, and when I look at that image, are not able to provide the goods and services because they're in the same boat that I'm in. So we dismiss or do away with that image because behind that image, there's a whole culture, of distrust, of self-hatred. All of those things contribute to the fact that we believe that the white man's ice is colder. That's a part of the problem. We can't leave that system, in my opinion, in place and then expect that we're going to build a Black Wall Street. How are we going to build a Black Wall Street using the same philosophy that tore down our street? It just ain't gonna work, in my opinion. So I don't know what the balance is, but I think that there's something that we have to do to deal with the intellectual destruction that we've, accepted by default, by not claiming a God in our own image and likeness.
I would like to
Go ahead.
speak to that. The first thing about that is that I agree with the surface of what you mean by that, and I understand that the religious system that we've been given has been a part of the trap that they set for us. However, I will say this: two things. First of all, God has favor on who He pleases, and there are people who own industries and businesses that are built around the promotion of sin, for instance, and they're very successful in what they do. So I don't want people to think that you got to be some holier than thou person in order to achieve success. And that may not have been what you're saying, but I don't want anybody to think that that's what we're after with that. The second thing is, with capitalism, it's like capitalism is like a weed, right? But where you would pick it from your garden and throw it in the garbage, a bee finds benefit in that weed. And he goes and he extracts the best part of that for himself and he takes it back to the hive. The capitalist system has benefits for us to use, but we have to extract the better parts of that for ourselves, because while we're in the system, the only way that we will excel is to learn that system, operate within it, and then change it from within.
Yeah, you know what I've said, and you're gonna love this, Roland, and it connects to both of what you all said. I've seen rappers get up, and when they go to get their award, I'm hoping that they just tell the truth this time, and I will support you. Thanks, Satan, for your award. Your song was full of B's and H's and I'ma kill you. How you gonna thank God? Although you done sold a lot of records, the best thing you can do is say, I'd like to give praise to Satan.
That's real.
And who's the head of my life. Because God ain't got a damn thing to do with that. See, that ain't success. And it's how you measure. Materialism is not success. Ask the people who are miserable after they say, what profit a fool to gain the whole world and lose their soul? So we got to be careful of what we are packaging and selling is something that, freedom, justice, and equality is about peace, man. Yeah. It's about, we want to leave legacies and etc., but we do want to be free from the oppressor, from colonialism, from imperialism, and etc. So the crowdfunding, very similar to what the Bob 5,000, the Bob Biz Center and Project 5,000 is really all about, and what you talk about, Dre.
Right. I think you hit on a good point. I just want to say this. I think we still underestimate the game that's being played, because the game, when I say Caucasians, Chinese, Koreans, Japanese, they playing to win, there is no moralism in that game. So they want resources by any means necessary.
Wow.
So what I'm saying is that is the game that's being played.
Wow.
So we can say that we can say that we don't want this or that, which is fine. But just understand that that is the game. I've seen it from the highest level. When they wanted to divide up Africa, they didn't say, matter of fact, they used God to say, the Pope said, by any means necessary, you have the power to enslave any infidel because of this thing called God. So they divvied up Africa. Isabella and Ferdinand divvied up the Americas under the guise of a God. The United States divvied up Africa again. They're doing it again under the pretenses of Christianity. So it's all based upon a God. It's just how you position your God. And it's not an external God that I'm talking about. I'm talking about the internal. That is the one that's making these decisions. It has nothing to do with the external source. So we have to understand the game that's being played, because oftentimes is we just look at it from the standpoint we just want to set up a business. They not looking at it like that. They looking at it as they want 100% dominance on the planet.
Right.
That's the game that's being played. So we have to shift
I love
and
it,
understand what game is being played.
I love it.
And don't worry about if they're going to come and try to stop us. You just got to play your game.
Absolutely.
Play your hand.
And that's my point exactly.
Right.
Everybody, when people say I have a relationship with God, what they're really saying is I have a relationship with the construct of God that I've accepted. And people are dominating in the name of their God.
Right.
Christianity, the God of Christianity is white nationalism. Christianity is the white nationalist God. You know, when you look at the Jews, they have chosen an ideology of God that embraces their pain and suffering, and they are able to do some amazing things in the name and because of their identity as the chosen people of God. Because we've allowed somebody else to define God for us, and that God doesn't even recognize our suffering. 400 years of captivity and suffering, and it's not even mentioned. And so I'm saying that to say that our failure to claim God for ourselves is why we are not able to dominate the marketplace.
Right.
So when you say, and what we have to also embrace is we're not all worshiping the same God. So the only way what the battle is, when I think of the crowdfunding platform, I think that is a divine instrument. I think that direct sales and economics is a kingdom philosophy.
Yes,
I think that the idea of a Black dominated economic infrastructure is a kingdom philosophy. I believe that, you know, when we look at, you know, the real battle is really between the coming of an ideology and an idea that is going to rival the idea called America. In the idea called America, we're a permanent underclass. We're praying for the coming of the kingdom. The kingdom is the coming of a world where we are in charge and we dominate. And so in the reality, like you talked about, you know, I'm thanking God. They are thanking God, the God of this world.
That's right.
Because Satan to us is God to them.
Teach.
One man Satan is another
Satan
man's
to
God.
them is God. So they are thanking God, the God of this world, but the God that we're looking for. That's why Jesus said you have to be as a little child to enter the kingdom. You got to be totally re-educated, because the world that we're building is not going to be built. It'll be built on the ashes of that world, but they conflict. They're not the same world. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know if that.
No. That's very. We got a couple minutes left, man. We need 2 hours. So we got to do part 2.
Right.
Y'all want to do part 2?
Absolutely.
Honestly, because
I'm
the
down for
people need this education. So this is part 1, folks. We're going to have part 2. So we're going to give everybody like 30-something seconds to give some closing remarks. And I want to make, just read a very, very important event. More so movement that we're going to have on Saturday, June the 24th. But go ahead, Brother Dwayne.
The reference that I made earlier to the building fund, the difference is that when you put your money into an equity crowdfunding project, you're putting that, the law is regulated by the Secretary of State in Illinois, and is regulated by the Security and Exchange Commission on the federal level. So when you put your money into one of these projects, you're not dropping it down the well. There's a lot of vetting and accountability that plays a part in that. And at the core of it, that's why people do trust it, because it's not me handing my money over to Greg or Pastor. It's me putting my money into a state authorized entity that now I got the right to be able to go back and either get that money out or to protest under whatever reason, for whatever reason, if something goes wrong. So with that, I'll wait for part 2. We can go a lot deeper into what it's all about and what it does. But
I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I love it, brother. You have a lot to offer, and we got to do part 2. And I'm sure the audience wants us. But go ahead, brother.
Real quick. Excited about this whole talk we're having. My closing remark would be, ain't nobody coming to save you but you.
Excellent. Excellent. Go ahead, Brother Roland.
Yeah, well, you said what I'm continuing to stress is that Black business is the answer to Black unemployment. It doesn't make sense to me that we would be out of work with all the work that we've got to do to rebuild our communities.
That's right.
I believe that we have to get from this theoretical, hypothetical, conceptual idea, and it's time for the real work. It's time for the heavy lifting. And that's part of the reason why we created the Bob Business Center, because we need to be able to take our businesses from thought to reality. Big ideas need the space to grow. We got to take our businesses from McDonald's and Starbucks and put them in an environment with other entrepreneurs so that we can grow our visions.
So folks, I know you all gonna be at the roundtable leadership coming up June the 24th. Join the New Black Leadership and Chicagoland's Black activists and organizers. We're going to have our quarterly roundtable discussion. So anybody out there that's claiming to be a leader or an activist or an advocate, you better have your butt there on the 24th, or we're going to shut you down. Since you want to run around. No, and then we're going to respect you, but come to this meeting to explain yourself. You might have a strategy that we are unaware of, but we got too many people hustling our people, getting over, saying one thing and doing another thing. You're going to have to be accountable. You said it in your words, Brother Dwayne. Thank you, Brother Roland. Thank you, Brother Dre. Thank you, Brother Earl, one of the best producers on the planet. And thank you all that's viewing this Facebook Live, Intellectual Radio, Our Heart, and YouTube. Peace and love.
Peace.